you needed an actual like filing cabinet that was, you can't fake like an old piece of paper, right? You can, but it's a lot harder, they just do this kind of like they want auditability, very much like if you're a business and you have tons, if you're hiring tons of people, you need to have like paperwork going back multiple years. Similar process for this. And then you also have to get like an on-site inspection, just to make sure you're not some like, you're pulling all these numbers and values out of your, what. But yield. So this is actually really interesting. There's this UC Berkeley Food Institute study that aggregated like, I think it was 152 other organic studies. And they came up with this number that like, organic crop yields are about 19.2% lower than conventional farming. But this is kind of like an arbitrary number that depends on the crop. So like I said here, beans, legumes, peas, and lentils, they saw no difference between organic and conventional like crop yields. So these are crops that are very hardy, don't need like super synthetic fertilizers, probably are naturally like pest resistant. I mean, if you think about it, like most of these are, you cook them really well before you start eating them. So bugs, probably aren't eating them as readily as well. And then there's also ways to increase crop yield. The studies as a whole kind of looked at like conventional style farming with organic ingredients. Whereas if you start doing more like sustainable kind of practices, like intercropping, crop rotation, and growing more and more cover crops, then you can start getting the yield going closer and closer to the actual, conventional. Yes.
Can you explain what intercropping, crop rotation, and cover crops are?
Yeah. So intercropping is where you have a crop and you have a different crop in the same field. Okay. So a lot of times, I think we did this with like broccoli and lettuce. So we would have like a row that had broccoli going down the center and like lettuce staggered throughout the row. And this is just something that, different vegetables put and take different things from the soil. And if you balance things that work well and kind of have a symbiotic relationship, you can get more crop yield from a smaller area with, without the harsher chemicals. And then crop rotation is you don't grow corn on the same spot every year. Okay. You'll grow like corn here, and then next year you'll grow it over here, and you'll grow tomatoes there this year.
So like you still grow all the same crops?
Yep.
Okay.
You're just rotating, what you're doing. A lot of times, you'll see conventional farms kind of do this a little bit, but they'll grow like potatoes or legumes or like soybean and then corn on like the same field depending on the season. Yeah. Which is kind of like a crop rotation, but it's not really it's a little bit simplistic. And then cover crops is growing something like clover or grass, and then as soon as it gets like big enough, you just plow it back into the dirt and before it blooms. So that's one of the big things, and you don't want it to seed, but because you can imagine you don't want to like actually you're not building a prairie. You want to take the seed, get the nutrients, get the water, the content, and then put it back into the earth. Feel better? So this is just some of the takeaways that I had from working on the farm. Applying, so how I got the job, I sent them an email, they didn't respond, I followed up, and then I followed up in person. Showing I cared, showing I was interested. They were very busy, the stereotype farmers are busy, they are busy. And they didn't have time to look through all their emails and reply to everybody. And the fact that I showed up, said, hey, I'm right down the road. I'm interested in working with you guys. I wanted to how can I help you guys? And they were super enthusiastic and helpful. Working, communicate. It's always good to communicate everywhere you are. Be dependable. Showing up 7 a.m. every day, working till 6 o'clock at night every night, or later, depending on what we needed to get done. It builds a rep, and obviously they want to be back. But and then stay engaged and looking for value. A lot of times, especially with menial tasks, you can zone out and just kind of do the average. But there's usually a better way, or even if there's not a better way, there's still something else you can maybe think about or engaging. So not to say that I took like not that I was an engineer or had like an engineering mindset, but one of the things I would do is, basically just like constantly looking for those minor improvements that I can make both for myself and for the farm as a whole, and valuable for me and my employer. You can apply that to kind of anywhere you go. Post work, follow up, be interested. If you want to, if you like the people and you just want to stay in touch with them, it's always good. I actually used the same principle yesterday, following up with somebody I used to work with, freshman summer internship. Half an hour later, we were talking about his company and software engineering, and he was trying to get me an interview and getting to work there. So if you keep these, keep these relationships alive and show that these are people that know that you're a proven worker and they know you're intelligent, then that's awesome to have a network. Farmers are cool. I worked with like some really smart people. So the person that ran the farm went to University of Pennsylvania, which if you guys don't know, like pretty good school. My other boss went to Cornell. So these aren't just like community college people or high school dropouts. These are extremely intelligent people that care about what they're doing and are really into the process and continually learning and building up a good, sustainable business and environmental practices. Super sociable, down to earth. You can imagine if you're working day in and day out with these people, you hear about their lives, their stories. I met some cool people from all walks of life, former accountants, hairdressers, geologists, teachers, artists. One guy I worked with used to drive the Antarctic, like the snowcats, and that was his job before he decided to try out farming. All over the place. It's just really engaging. This guy here is Bob Dixon. He's a former geologist and just super cool. Knew a lot about geography and geology, and it's just cool technologies. These aren't super cool. These aren't your flashy computers, but this is something you might never even thought of. So this is actually hooked up to a vacuum, and there's a bunch of little holes. Basically what you do is just pour the seeds over the platter, and then the vacuum sucks the seeds into one seed per hole. And then you have the correct count for your entire platter, and then you just kind of put it over, turn off the vacuum, and it drops into the individual slot. So obviously there's larger, more automated processes, but this is something that a small scale farm would use. A conveyor belt that kind of just reaches over the field. You put tomatoes on, it rolls in. There's one more that I wanted to put on. There's some really cool tractors. If you ever if you're really bored, just go on YouTube and look up automated tractors and balers and weeders, and they're just you can just spend hours going how the heck did they come up with this design? Because they're doing insane things super fast over large areas.
I saw one for carrots and I was mesmerizing.
Yeah. No, sometimes you're just it's just so flawless, these huge hay bales that just come off from grass into this beautiful shape in seconds.
Have you seen the naked guy that falls into it and runs off?
Yeah!
That's the first thing I came to mind. Sorry to ruin that.
I don't think I've seen that.
Hurt so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It sounds like I'm missing out. Alright, so that's basically all I had. Do you guys have any questions before we play a little Guess That Veggie game?
Oh yeah. Summer camp.
So I figured I probably have a larger breadth. Sorry.
Did you exit the video?
I have muted notifications, but I guess phone calls go through. So, you guys have any questions before we play Guess That Veggie?
We'll do questions afterwards.
Questions afterwards? Okay. Guess That Veggie.
You're going down to.
What's this veggie?
Oh, it's funny. Onions.
Onion.
Some sort of onion. It's not an onion, but it has is it a shallot? No. Scallion?
This is tricky. I didn't show the actual
Is it
veggie.
turnip?
No, I just showed what it looks like in a field. So, this is, you guys all know this one.
Is it a
Oh, yeah,
bulbous
totally.
thing?
It's garlic.
Ooh.
Or you guys all know the vegetable, I should say, not necessarily you know what it is. But this is just a garlic field. hay is really important for like keeping the weeds out, and garlic grows right through it. So this is an easy one.
Squash.
What kind of squash?
Pumpkin
Yeah, butternut squash.
What the hell is that?
These are sexy a little high. What was that?
Celery?
No.
Is that like lettuce? What family is it from? Like,
So,
I'm guessing the bottom part grows in the ground?
no, it's actually above ground.
no. What is that?
Oh, it's like a juvenile one, right? It's like a, not juvenile, that's the right word, but like it's a baby one, and then it opens up, right? No?
This is what the final product looks like.
What is the sauce?
Yeah, it's like a leafy green, but it's kohlrabi.
What? Yeah.
So, just a disclaimer, all the vegetables I put in this PowerPoint, we actually grew. So,
What does it taste like?
what does it taste like?
Not much is a vegetable.
It's really good grilled. Kind of like,
Take a bite out of it, just like,
no.
like not like
This is one of those ones I think you want to cook.
Where does,
To be honest, I've only eaten this like once or twice.
where does it originate from?
I'm gonna guess somewhere in Europe, probably, but that's just me pulling things out of my
Probably
butt. All right, this is an easy one. Maybe?
Bok choy?
Yeah, bok choy.
Yeah. Oh, that stuff's so gross.
What?
So good.
So good.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So disgusting.
Oh, according to Wikipedia, the kohlrabi is commonly eaten in German-speaking countries and also northern part of Vietnam.
That's a very weird. Germany and Vietnam. But yep, bok choy. That's an easy one.
I'll second that. Shallots.
Yep.
There you go.
Shallots are delicious. Has anybody never had shallots?
It's like a star fruit, but it's too circular.
Never had shallots?
Oh, shallots are awesome. I'd never had them until I went vegan, and then I needed them for this Alfredo mix thing that I
You've
made.
probably had them in a restaurant.
They're awesome. They're like onions and garlic kind of mixed together into one vegetable, and it's like really strong.
Yeah.